Before we get going, can I have some coffee?
Yeah.
Thank you. Get some coffee around this place. Okay.
What are we doing today?
I think let's do chapter 6 today.
Yeah, we said chapter 6. Chapter 6 is actually a really cool chapter because in chapter 6 we talk about the post-mortem pH shift. Chapter 5 we talked about water.
Right.
And what people may or may not have talked about or seen in class is the self-ionization of water. Talk to me.
Okay,
what does that mean?
You know, people think water molecules are just there, but they're actually, water molecules are in equilibrium with their atoms. Is that too technical?
Yeah.
Well, let me draw it. I'm just going to draw it and make it easy. Most people know water is this. But in fact, it's actually in equilibrium, I know it's a fancy word, with this. Whoops. Sorry, bad writing. So that is really what a solution of water looks like. It's water. It's like 99.9% that, but it's in equilibrium with hydroxide and the hydrogen ion.
So in a glass of water, what you're telling me, it's not this. I mean, there's some of this, there's some of both.
Yes.
There's some of both. So you used a word, hydroxide, and then you used another word, hydronium, which I don't think I totally see here, but that's this. That's
right.
represented here.
Right. That's the
hydronium. Okay.
So, and actually, hydroxide is a basic element, and hydrogen is an acidic element.
Awesome. Okay. So what we started with was we're going to be talking about the post-mortem pH shift, and to get everybody oriented, why that's important for embalming is pH has an effect. It's a chemical effect, really, on the solution that you make for a body, right? So if water is going to self-ionize, you said this one's basic. And this one is more acidic.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So now, Robert, something that I like talking about in my class is that after a person dies, at physiological pH, when someone's alive, their pH is what? It's 7.4.
Yep.
I like to think that it's neutral. People would argue it's alkaline or basic. But I think for the most part, it is. I know. We're splitting hairs here. You know, it is sort of, it's alkaline, it's basic slightly. But after a person dies, their body becomes more acidic. And the reason for that is because your body, the cells of your body don't know that you've died. Right? They didn't get the memo.
They haven't got the memo yet.
Yeah, there was not like I actually saw my friend Ben, what he did in a talk, he's like, there was no shout out like, hey, we're shutting it down, folks. So the cells will continue to metabolize. It's an important part of life. Part of those metabolic processes are waste that's not being eliminated because the urinary system's not working. And that waste builds up, much like lactic acid.
Yep.
Right? So there's an acidic buildup in the body.
So what you're saying is that there is an acidic buildup, and what we're saying is that there's an abundance of hydrogen ion being formed in the body. It's getting more of that is forming.
Yeah. So
more
shortly
acid.
after death, some acid builds up.
Right.
Then over time, the compounds in the body, things like proteins and other compounds in the body will start to break down. That liberates nitrogen, frees nitrogen, right? And when you get an excess of nitrogen, the body becomes more alkaline or more basic.
And the reason that happens is the nitrogen actually reacts with this hydrogen and eliminates the acidic character of what's going on in the body.
Cool. Well, that's dope. Yeah, that's cool.
how it works.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, okay, so just to reiterate, fairly neutral or basic. In life, yeah. And then the body becomes more acidic, and the body becomes more alkaline. Now, this is problematic for embalming solutions because embalming chemicals, they work best in certain pH ranges.
Yep.
So what do we add and why to help the chemicals, the embalming chemicals, work better?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what we add to keep the pH from adjusting is we add a buffer, and that's a real technical thing actually if you really want to think about it. But ultimately, what a buffer does is it prevents a dramatic pH change. So if you put a buffer in embalming fluid, the buffer is set to 7.1, for example, it will prevent the drastic pH changes in the body.
And it helps your embalming chemicals, your formaldehyde, your work better.
Right, because they all work best in a certain pH range.
And I think the one last thing that I want to point out is you're using embalming chemicals throughout the body, and the human body has microenvironments of different pHs. the classic example, it's like the classic
Right.
example, is your stomach acid is acidic, much more acidic than, say, your muscle.
Exactly.
So you take that into consideration when you're selecting your embalming fluids. You want to have a buffer in your embalming fluids or your embalming chemical. Yeah. Are we good with that one?
I think that's
Chapter
pretty
6
good.
dialed in?
Yeah, I've got it dialed in, yeah.
All right, very cool. If you have more questions about Chapter 6, put them in the comments section. We're monitoring those, and we'll answer your questions. If you like what you're seeing, let us know also in the comment section. And
yeah, and let us know if you haven't heard something that you want to hear. Let us know.
For sure.
We'll respond as soon as we can.
right, like, subscribe, and follow.
Follow for sure.
Follow.